Zbigniew and I are in a mostly dark room that has a pair of video lights that are the only light here. And as I'm sitting in front of the camera, there is a monitor that's mounted to the top of the camera. The camera itself is mounted to an audio recorder. There is a microphone that is just out of the camera that is picking us up. We have set up, we are going, and we are trusting God that there's going to be something that's going to happen here, which is going to be engaging, powerful, interesting, and able to talk to the world. And after the last video that I shot, Zbigniew just chuckled and looked at me and said, "I don't know how you come up with stuff, just sitting looking at the camera." And I appreciated his appreciation of what's going on here, and honestly, I couldn't do it without Zbigniew, honestly. But I said to him, I have a very rich interior life. And one of the things that we are hoping to do spiritually with the people who come into this world, and the people who end up being our friends, the people who end up being part of our community, the people who have been touched by the Spirit of God, is we are hoping to make a people for whom the richness of their spiritual and their interior life grows over time. I have a conceit, and the conceit that I have is that if I find something interesting, I believe that there's other people who, through their experience in this life or their experience spiritually, will have walked a path such that I believe that they will find things interesting that I find interesting. There are those who faithfully watch these videos and who consider what I have to say. And often I bring scripture into it. Often we talk about different things, and there is a resonance point in terms of what scripture teaches, what the Spirit of God encourages, and what Messiah has made part of the truth of the realm that we live in, whereby I'll talk about something and other people will go, oh, I'm either there right now, or I have been there in the past, or I'm getting a bit of a premonition that this thing that you're talking about today is going to be important to me in the not too distant future. And so I talk about what I've experienced. I talk about what I've gone through. I think of myself as a child. I think of myself as a teenager. I think of myself as I was starting to build a life in my 20s, the opportunity that I had to fall in love with my wife and to have a family and to have 5 children and to end up having a calling which was not a lucrative or a powerful financial career, but which was a situation that allowed me to end up having profound impact on the lives of many people. Although most of the time there weren't a lot of people at any given time, but over the course of the decades that this was done, we ended up touching thousands, if not tens of thousands of people, touching some for a matter of months, some for weeks, some for years. And we went through, and these things continued to happen, and they shared their life with my wife and I, and my wife and I shared our lives with them, and everybody learned, everybody grew, everybody got closer to God. And now here I am with this fierce shock of white hair. And I remember when the hair was dark and was black, and I remember the power of youth, but that is not my place now. But what I do have is I do have the wisdom from having lived all of these stages, all of these areas, and being able to draw on what I would consider buried treasure. And the treasure that is buried is treasure that happened in relationships. It's a treasure that happened in circumstances. It was a treasure that happened over the course of privation and over the course of wealth that happened. It was a period in which I had to learn that the true wealth that God gives doesn't necessarily always end up in your bank account. Sometimes what ends up happening is it's a wealth of relationship. It's a wealth of other things. I have a dear friend of mine who had a car that needed to be repaired recently, and he had the finance to repair his car, but he didn't have the contacts. And so I didn't have the money to repair his car, but I knew a variety of people with a variety of skills, and I was able to make a phone call and say, my friend needs help in this area. And one of the people who has been dear and significant to us was able to say, oh, I know a guy. And this person gave me a contact to someone else who I passed on to my friend. And in using the wealth of relationship that I had, I was able to help my friend continue to enjoy a vehicle that has been lashed with salt, sand, and upstate New York's winters, but he was able to, in a very reasonable fashion, get help. And God set it up so in the body of Messiah, there was someone who helped me who was able to help my friend. And so with these things going on, I am sharing in front of you with the camera. And yes, I sit in a dark room and we have the light carefully crafted. We have lighting that has very specific control of what it looks like, so it looks better than it might otherwise. But we are here because I am absolutely convinced that what I have learned of literature, what I have learned of music, what I have learned of history, what I have learned of relationships, what I have learned of having love in my life, and what I have learned of having loss, what I have learned of understanding the relationships and the people in your life that you don't have control of them necessarily, but some of them are going to end up being in your orbit, and some of them you have to release to the adventures that they have that might be hundreds of miles or thousands of miles away from where your orbit currently is, and you have to release them into their destiny. I believe that all of this aligns up with the divine book. And the divine book is the story of salvation history that God has written from the very beginning of the creation of this planet through tribal times, through times when there were many less people on the planet, through the times when things were savage, when things were remote, where things were developing jungles, and through the times in which we have built civilizations, where we have built societies, where we have built opportunity to end up having true wealth, and where these societies have embraced the knowledge of the one true God, and then have fallen back into decadence and destruction, all for the purpose to be reclaimed once again. And I believe that what I've learned from those in my life whom I've been in relationship with, I believe that that which I've learned from the divine book, which is the Bible, which includes the Hebrew scriptures and the New Covenant, which includes the Torah, the prophets, the writings, which includes the Gospels, the historical New Covenant books, the letters and the epistles, which includes apocryphal literature from both the Hebrew scriptures and the New Covenant, that all of this comes together to shape our ability to spiritually seek God, to receive the gift of His Spirit, and to be a people who learn wisdom so that in the relatively short period of time that we have, which Scripture describes as 70 or 70 years, or 80, which is 80 years if you're strong, that these times can be lived in a powerful and present fashion. And I know that many people have no interest in spirituality, but I have a drive to put this out there so that anybody who is interested can discover it. And if it's 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 people who view a video, I'm good. But if a day comes and this archive or this library is out there and all of a sudden people really need to know, I will have left behind an inheritance, whether I am here or not. Shalom.